Hey y'all, it's Lola the Manager, your new favorite project manager, tech junkie, and entrepreneur. Welcome back to season 2 of Life as a Project Manager. A few weeks ago, I started this Tech Team Players series covering business analysts, solution architects, and implementation consultants. Today is part 2, and I'm breaking down the creative and development roles you'll collaborate with: web developers, designers, and copywriters. Understanding what these roles actually do and how to work with them effectively will make you a better PM and lead to smoother project execution. Let's ride. Let's start with developers, the people who actually build digital products. They write code that makes software, websites, and mobile applications function. You might hear different titles like web developer, mobile developer, software developer, or even software engineer, but they're all writing code to create functional products. Developers take designs and requirements and turn them into working code. Web developers build websites and web applications. Mobile developers create iOS and Android apps. And software developers build desktop applications or back-end systems. They also debug issues, optimize performance, test their code, and maintain code quality. In one of my IT PM roles where I was managing Salesforce, Workday, and Microsoft platform projects, I worked closely with developers who built custom features and integrations for our stakeholders. When our business analysts struggled to get clear stakeholder requirements, it was the developers who ended up frustrated because they built something only to find out it wasn't what they actually needed. That taught me the importance of clear requirements before development starts. Another time in my first ed tech role where I had student interns building data visualization and mobile app prototypes, I was coaching these student developers through the design sprint process. They were learning to code while building real products. So I had to balance teaching them best practices while keeping the project moving forward. Now, as a PM, there's a certain type of way you need to collaborate with developers. You're managing their timeline and workload. You're protecting them from scope creep. And you're making sure they have clear requirements before they start coding. Developers need focused time to code without constant interruptions. So part of your job is shielding them from unnecessary meetings and distractions. You're also the translator between technical and non-technical stakeholders. When developers say something is technically complex, you need to explain to leadership what that means and why that impacts the timeline or budget. In essence, as a project manager, you need to build a relationship with your developer where, one, they like you enough to want to break down what they're doing until you get to a place where you can articulate it to the non-technical teams. And two, that whenever something comes up, they're willing to do it for you or make whatever changes necessary because they know that you always hold them down and protect them. Now, there are some red flags that you should look out for, like developers who start coding before requirements are clear, or developers who can't explain technical decisions in plain language, or even developers who become the single point of failure because only they understand the code they wrote. Also, watch out for developers who resist documentation. That creates major problems when they leave or when someone else needs to maintain their code. Now let's talk about designers. Designers create the visual and user experience aspects of digital products. They're thinking about how things look, how users navigate through interfaces, and how to make complex information easy to understand. Designers create mock-ups, wireframes, and prototypes that show what the final product will look like. They choose colors, fonts, layouts, and visual elements. They map out user flows and interaction patterns. Good designers balance aesthetics with usability, making things beautiful and functional. In that first EdTech role that I previously talked about, where the student interns were building data visualizations and mobile app prototypes, we had design resources helping the teams create user-friendly interfaces. The challenge was that students wanted to make things that look cool, but designers kept bringing them back to user needs? Who's actually using this? And what do they need to accomplish? The designers had to balance teaching these students design principles while also keeping projects on track. They'd review wireframes, provide feedback on color choices and layouts, and ensure the final products were actually usable, not just visually appealing. Now, as a PM, there's a certain way that you interact with designers. You're ensuring they understand the user needs and business requirements before they start designing. You're also managing feedback loops. Designs often go through multiple iterations based on stakeholder input and need to balance making it perfect with shipping something good enough. You're the one setting deadlines for design reviews and making sure designers have the information they need to create effective designs. Red flags to look out for when it comes to designers are designers who prioritize aesthetics over functionality, designers who can't articulate the reasoning behind their design decisions, or designers who take feedback too personally instead of professionally. Also, watch out for designers who work in isolation without user input. Great design is informed by actual user needs, not just the designer's preferences. So it's not about how the designer feels and what they think is going to work. It's about what the user desires and needs and what's best for the experience. Now, let's get into the copywriters. Copywriters create written content for digital products, marketing materials, websites, and applications. They're the ones writing the words that users read, from button labels to error messages to marketing copy. Copywriters write user interface text, also known as UX writing or micro copy, product descriptions, marketing emails, website content, help documentation, and any other text that communicates with users. They ensure messaging is clear, consistent, and aligned with brand voice. In my experience with working with copywriters in projects involving webinars, marketing campaigns, or product launches, copywriters were essential for creating the messaging that would resonate with our audience. They'd write the webinar deck content, email announcements, and landing page copy. The key challenge was ensuring the copywriters understood the technical details enough to write accurately, while also making it accessible to non-technical audiences. As the PM, I would have to bridge that gap, translating technical requirements into information copywriters could work with, then reviewing their output to ensure accuracy. As a PM, when you're collaborating with copywriters, you're providing them with the context that they need. Who's the audience? What's the goal? What's the key message? You're managing their timeline alongside design and development work, because often copy cannot be finalized until designs are complete. But developers need copy to build features. You're also the final reviewer, ensuring copy is accurate and aligned with project goals. Now, of course, there are several red flags you need to look out for in your copywriters. And it starts with copywriters who don't ask questions about the audience or the context, copywriters who use jargon when simplicity is needed, or copywriters who miss deadlines because they're perfecting the messaging. Also, watch out for copywriters who resist edits. Good copywriters understand that iteration based on stakeholder feedback is a part of the process. Here's how these three roles typically interact on a project. Designers create the visual layouts and user flows. Developers build what the designers created, bringing those static designs to life with functional code. Copywriters provide the words that go into the designs and interfaces. Everything from button text to error messages to marketing content. As the PM, you're orchestrating this collaboration. You're making sure designers complete mock-ups before developers need to start coding. You're ensuring copywriters deliver content before developers hard code text into the applications. You're facilitating feedback between developers and designers when something isn't technically feasible as designed. But here's the reality. Many organizations don't have all these specialized roles, especially smaller companies or startups. You might have a developer who also handles design, or a marketer who writes copy, or a designer who writes their own content. Sometimes PMs end up filling these gaps, writing basic copy, giving design direction, or making simple design decisions when there's no dedicated designer. The key is recognizing when you need specialized expertise versus when you can make do with internal resources. Here's what I learned about working effectively with developers, designers, and copywriters. For developers, give them focused time to code without constant interruptions. Batch questions and feedback instead of interrupting them throughout the day. Protect them from scope creep by managing stakeholder requests. And of course, ensure the requirements are clear before they start building. For designers, provide clear user personas and use cases before they start designing. Set realistic timelines that allow for iteration. Facilitate stakeholder feedback in structured design reviews rather than random comments. And of course, help them prioritize feedback. Not every suggestion needs to be implemented. For copywriters, give them context about the audience, tone, and goals. Provide deadlines that account for review cycles. Make sure they have access to subject matter experts for technical accuracy, and create a clear approval process so copy doesn't get stuck in endless revisions. Now, for all three, here's what you're gonna have to do. Schedule regular check-ins to catch issues early. Document decisions so there's no confusion later. Create a collaborative environment where they can talk directly to each other and not just through you. Celebrate wins and acknowledge good work. Creative and development work can feel thankless when people only notice problems. Have you worked with designers or copywriters? What collaboration challenges have you faced? Share them in the comments. I'm not even gonna hold you. I love working with creatives. I love working on marketing projects. It's just something about seeing how it all comes together, from that design with the text, and then now we actually have this built where it's functional and we can utilize the app or the website. I just love that experience. And I just like how when people are in their zone of genius and they start talking about why they're doing this, how this makes sense, and they can't wait to show this to the stakeholder, stuff like that makes you like doing the job that you do. And one of the things about creative work is like, no two projects are ever the same. Different clients, different desires, different requirements. It all makes it worth a while when you see the idea come to life. And so I've never really had any issues working with these different type of teams, because every time I've worked with them, I've ensured that I did create that environment where we could kick it, we could chop it up, and you're comfortable enough to talk to me about anything. And then also I protected them by making sure that stakeholders do not have direct access to them, and that I do block their schedule and not set up an unnecessary mandatory meeting just for a 15-minute catch up when that could have been sent as a Slack message at the end of the day or something like that. So yeah, I love the creative and development teams. Understanding how these creatives and technical roles work together is essential for managing successful digital products. Be on the lookout for part 3 of our tech team players, where I'll be covering customer facing roles that you might collaborate with. If you haven't done so already, please join our Discord community where I share jobs within the US and internationally, as well as internships in the US and internationally, all for project managers. I also have a section where I talk about transitional roles, where it's those roles that help you transition into project management, but they're not quite called project management. But guess what? You're doing the PM work anyway. So on there, I also provide any type of advice that I can. I want to create a community by us so we can help us grow in this space. There's also resources about certifications and programs and ways in which you can grow professionally. And so please take your talents to my description so you can access that community. Be sure to follow me at Lola the Manager on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Yes, I know it's called X. It will forever be Twitter to me. And of course, I can't end the video without saying thank you for being here. You can be anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with me getting professional development, and I love that for you. Can't wait for the video I'm dropping next week. Until next time.